Hello, welcome. Welcome to Women's March Chicago, Zoom to the polls. Yes! Woo! I would have a megaphone, but no one would hear it except me, and that would be not what we really want. I'm so glad to see all of you, but not see all of you, but I'm so glad to be here with all of you on Facebook Live. This is our 5th March. We started in 2017. And I feel so lucky that I got to be emceeing. I was emceeing in 2017, the first March, 2018, the second March. And honestly, I feel like it matters now more than ever that we are here, that we're gathering, that we're taking every opportunity to talk about voting, why we're voting. Zoom into the polls, you know what I'm saying? You got to zoom any way you can to the polls. Get to the polls any way you can. Now, the reason we're here today is that we are getting out the vote. We just got to vote. You got to vote. You got to encourage others to vote. And today we're letting women know how and when to vote, when they can. Voting is our power. This year, we're all going to vote our values. You know what I'm saying? I'm wearing my values right here on my shirt. And here's the thing, we need to not just be advocates for our own vote and our own values, but also for other voters. Like, for example, don't assume that just because you're good and you voted that everyone around you has, family, friends. Ask them, check in on them, check in on neighbors, give them, share with them the information they need to exercise their power and be heard. Thank you to everyone joining us out there. I can't see you. I hope you can see me on Facebook Live. You can comment, tell us your name, tell us where you're zooming in from, Facebook Living us from, and tell us why you're voting and what's getting you excited to vote this year. What issue, if you voted, if you're absentee ballot voting, if you're helping someone else vote, and if you're posting to social media, please use the hashtags, hashtag Zoom to the polls. That's it right there. Hashtag Zoom to the polls and hashtag Women's March Shy. That's CHI. Now, listen, y'all, we have, as always, some amazing women leaders and allies who are going to be joining us today from across the great state of Illinois, and they will be speaking to you over the next 2 hours. So what I would suggest is get your brunch, get those like beautiful eggs, maybe a little coffee or whatever other beverage you want. Get a blanket, get on your couch and just enjoy for a little while, okay? We are also going to be taking you to a live event that's happening on the ground on Chicago's South Side at one of our amazing partners, the Phalanx Family Services. They're having a lot of fun right now. I'm clearly not there. I'm missing out, but I am excited that they're having fun listening to music by DJ Vaughn. Hey, y'all. Woo, yes. Yes. So now we're also super excited because we've gotten a lot of photos that everyone submitted of all y'all beautiful selves.
Hello, Illinois.
There she is.
We're here with the Women's March Chicago. And we are zooming to the polls today.
That's right, Jackie.
At Phalanx Family Services with all of our partners. Many of the partners some are inside, some are milling around, some are even in line for food. But guess what? We got people here, and why? Why? Because this is one of the most important years of our lives for the election of our country, one that will help to determine our future. And the future not just for us, but the future for our children and for our girls, our boys, the future for our country.
Yes, thank you, Jackie. I mean, I don't know if y'all know, but that was Jackie Algie coming to you live from Phalanx Family Services, and I would say having the time of her life right now. You know what I'm saying? And we should be. I know that for a lot of people, this year has felt like it's lava, and that we are just living in lava. But this year, it is opportunity. When you get to vote, it is an opportunity to make a difference and to be heard. And you know what? We're going to hear from a lot of different people today. We're going to, in the next half hour, we're going to be hearing from Mayor Lori Lightfoot. We'll be hearing from Juliana Stratton, our Lieutenant Governor. You'll be hearing from other Women's March Chicago board members and why they're voting and why they voted. You'll hear frequently asked questions about mail-in ballots, early voting, voting on election day. And I know that we're smart people, we get it, but you know what? There's a lot of information out there. And so part of this event today is to help gather all that information into one place so that you can have it and make this whole process easier. Also, I'll be here for a half hour, and then next there'll be another MC joining us. My sister Cleopatra Draper of WVON Radio will take over around 12:30. You're going to hear from even more amazing speakers. Oh, who, Fazia? Who, you may ask? Well, you'll be hearing from Representative Robin Kelly, Senator Dick Durbin, Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, not Periwinkle, also State Senator Robert Peters. And, you know, this is going to keep going. We're going to hear Catherine McNeil is going to be taking the helm later as MC. You'll hear from Susan Mendoza, Jamal Cole, Pastor Chris Harris, First Lady JoJo, Tanya Lozano, and the amazing Jackie Algie, whom you just heard from. She's going to be closing out this event and will lead us through the final stretch of this Zoom to the polls with even more incredible voices and even more incredible women and allies. You heard from Jackie live, and you know, we're so excited that she's there, and actually she reached out to me, and you know, for those of you who may just be joining us, my name's Fazia Mirza, and I've hosted this before. I'm a you know, Chicagoan of many years, voter, writer, creator, and you know, Jackie reached out to me this year to see if I would join the Zoom to the polls, and I was like, yeah, girl, of course I will. It's such a delight to be here. And actually I want to share with you that I was doing a little bit of text banking yesterday. Now I don't know if anyone who's watching has done any text banking, but I highly recommend it. I don't know, I'm sure y'all have maybe gotten some texts from folks who are, you know, trying to get the vote out, but it was amazing. And it was amazing because I got to do it for the Domestic Workers Alliance and do some text banking for them. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing and a great way to also get the vote out. So there's so many different ways. You know, actually, I would love to bring up to our virtual stage, we have with us our first guest speaker. Actually, wait, is that Jackie? You know what? Actually, why don't we, before we bring up our virtual, our first speaker to the virtual stage, let's go live to Jackie, who's going to interview the head of Failings Family Services. What a great way to start out our event. Jackie, are you there?
Back to you. Okay. We got Tina here from Failings. Hey, good afternoon. Tina Sanders, Director of Failings Family Services. Pauline Samain, Director of the Rosemary Connection Hub and a member of the Far South Chicago Coalition. And we want to encourage everyone to vote. That's why we're out here, to encourage people to vote. It's important that you vote. We want to be able to continue to provide these kind of services. We are a family service organization providing employment training, youth development services, rental assistance. And also we are out here with City Keys so you can have the ID you need
so there's no issues at the polls. Come out and get some sweatshirts, some shirts, so you can stay warm while you stand in those lines. But it's very important that you get out and vote.
Vote, vote, vote.
Your life depends on it.
And if you're looking for services, come visit Phalanx Family Services.
Yes, we're at 837 West 119th Street. We're here every day, Monday through Friday. We are open through the pandemic because we know that you are in need of us and we will be waiting to serve you.
And we want you to come out October 30th from 2 to 5. We're doing a trunk or treat. Come and get all the candy for your young people, and we will be distributing food and other goodies.
And also reminding you to vote on November 3rd.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Phalanx Family Services. And you heard it. Get down there. You can get some free sweatshirts and remind you of the very important message of why we're here, which is to vote. Now, I promised you our first special guest to our virtual stage, and here they are. Without further ado, Lieutenant Governor Stratton. Woo!
Good morning, everyone, and happy Zooming to the Polls Day. I want to thank you, Fazia, for that introduction, and thank you also to the Women's March Chicago and coalition partners for hosting this event, and also for doing the critical work of informing voters and encouraging everyone here to get out the vote. I've said this many times, and I'm going to repeat it today. I believe that this is the most consequential election of our lifetime. And it is more important than ever that we vote. No matter how you vote, absentee, mail-in, early in-person like I did, or in-person on November 3rd, make sure you cast your vote in this election. This year, we are facing many obstacles. The ongoing coronavirus pandemic, the slowing of the Postal Service interfering with mail-in ballots, along with other forms of voter suppression happening all too often all throughout the country. By making a plan on how we're going to vote, we can ensure that these roadblocks do not stop us from exercising our civic duty. Do not wait until Election Day to make your plan. Start right now. Now, during every presidential election year, the focus often ends up being on the swing states. We pay close attention to what's happening in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and other states, knowing that Illinois is considered a safe blue state. And while I'm grateful that we are a stronghold for progressive policies and candidates, we cannot allow this to make us complacent or to think that our votes don't matter. Every election matters, and I urge you to do your research about what is on the ballot, make informed choices on candidates and races up and down the ticket. This year, I am also asking you to support the fair tax amendment on the ballot here in Illinois. Right now, the tax system in Illinois is fundamentally unfair. The current system allows millionaires and billionaires to pay the same tax rate as frontline workers like nurses and grocery store clerks, disproportionately benefiting the wealthy and placing the burden on working families. A fair tax will drive racial and economic justice in Illinois by providing the revenue that we need for vital services that lift people and families out of poverty. As we work to address the budget crisis that we're facing, a continuation of the flat tax will only serve to deepen the dramatic inequities that we already see all across the state. It will drive out residents and it will drive out investment in Illinois. And not only will the fair tax allow the fiscal environment in Illinois to stabilize, it will improve the economy for small businesses, help to lower property taxes, and allow us to better and more adequately fund our schools and other important programs. Through fiscal policy change like the fair tax, we can ensure that all communities in Illinois are given an opportunity to thrive. So I urge you today, vote yes on the fair tax. Now I'm going to close with a quote from Congressman John Lewis, who we lost 3 months ago today. He said, "The vote is precious, It is the most powerful nonviolent tool that we have in a democratic society, and we must use it. And if there was ever a time to use our vote, it is now. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for zooming to the polls. Thank you for your energy and your enthusiasm and for committing to do your part to move your communities, our state, and our nation forward. Let's vote, let's vote, let's vote.
Yes, woo! Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Woohoo! Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Stratton. You heard it here. Vote, 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 vote. Honestly, this is the best four-letter word there ever was. All right, now here we go. Now we thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. Now we are going to be introducing our next guest to the virtual stage. And up next, we have our mayor of the great city of Chicago, Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Hello, everyone. So great to see you even virtually. And it's an absolute privilege to be asked to join you on this momentous occasion of the virtual Women's March. Since the Women's March in 2016, we have bonded together and watched women and our allies come together and assert our collective political voice. Not only has it been gratifying and inspiring to see this kind of commitment in light of the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage this year, but it's also strengthened our city and our entire country against the shared challenges that we all face. Whether from continued threats to hard-earned gains we made to make America more equitable and just, to the once-in-a-generation public health crisis that has left a devastating impact on our most vulnerable communities, particularly women and people of color. As we all know, we're just 2 weeks away from an election that will have consequences far beyond who sits in the White House. Deep-reaching impacts that will either exacerbate the existing challenges we face or start our path on healing and recovery to address and make sure that our future is most equitable and inclusive that it can be. It's these same values that we work hard on every single day in the city of Chicago. And it's what inspired me to run for office in the first place, because I became convinced that in a city with all the wealth, all the resources that we had, we needed to make sure that every single Chicagoan had the same opportunity, regardless of zip code or circumstances, to really participate in the greatness and the wealth of our city. We deserve a city government that is indeed inclusive, equitable, and transparent. A government driven by commitments to gender and racial equity. And people across the nation deserve exactly the same thing. If we want change, we must vote. It is the most powerful tool in our democracy. Now, people will say, but elections don't matter. They do. 4 years ago, people thought the same, and look what the last 4 years has brought us, not just at the national scale, but across the country. When we don't vote, we give up our seat at the table. We give our power to someone else. We can't afford to do that now or ever, but particularly not in this year when we are facing the most consequential election of our lifetime. When I think about this, I think about people like my mother, who was born in the 1920s in a segregated South, who fought hard her whole life, and God bless all of us, and me and my siblings in particular. My 92-year-old mother is still with us. This is a woman who ran for election herself and won an at-large election, who after she retired from being an elected official was a judge, a poll watcher, and still in this time, make sure that every single year she gets her absentee ballot and that she votes. My mother's story is a story of many, many people across the generations, across our city, across our state, and truly across our country. When we think about why it's so important to vote, we need to think about the people who sacrifice so much, and literally with their lives, and certainly with their blood, to make sure that we had the opportunity to vote. So vote we must. We must. We must make a plan. We must make sure that everyone in our family, in our household, in our network is enthusiastic and make sure that they vote, that they educate themselves about what is at stake on the ballot, up and down the ballot, not just at the top of the ticket, but there are consequential races everywhere, from other elected officials to making sure that the judges, and there are issues on the ballot, and you heard a full-throated, enthusiastic support by our great Lieutenant Governor for the fair tax. So we have reason to show up in great numbers. We have reasons to make sure that we send a message loud and clear that can be heard across our nation, and certainly in the halls of Congress and in the White House, that Chicago and Illinois, we show up, we vote, our votes matter, and we demand to have power and a seat at the table. We need to make sure that we do not take our foot off the gas for 1 second between now and November 3rd. We got to run through the tape, and we got to make sure that we leave it on the field every single day. We have to wake up and think, what more can I do? What more can my network do? What more can we do to make sure that we drive and surge toward the finish line? November 3rd is looming large. We're almost there. We've got more to do. But mostly, importantly, we got to focus, we got to be determined, and we got to make sure that everyone understands the importance of registering and voting and making sure that we fulfill the legacy that has been bequeathed to us from women and men generations ago, many that we will never know their names, but who sacrificed everything for us to be in a position to just do our civic duty and to vote. So women, ladies and gentlemen, our time is now. We must vote, we must deliver. Thank you all very much.
Woo, thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you so much for that powerful, powerful message and for that speech and sharing so much of your personal story as well and your family story. Honestly, the number one message that we are receiving is vote. Y'all, we just got to do it. Just vote. There's nothing else to do. Now, I love hearing why some of us are voting. And one of the things we're going to hear next is we're going to hear from Women's March Chicago board members as to why they vote. So stay tuned. We're going to watch a little video and I'll see you back in a couple minutes.
Guzman. I'm on the board of the Women's March Chicago. And when I think about why I vote because of my community. When I think about the things that we've been through in the last 4 years in this pandemic, I've worked with people that struggle to make every single dollar count for their families, to put food on the table, to keep their housing safe and secure. And when I think about community members that don't have a voice, my immigrant community, my folks that have been incarcerated, my voice counts for them. And so knowing that this election has really, really high stakes, more so than ever, that we have to put this country back on the right track, instill hope and opportunity back in our communities, what better opportunity than to cast our vote this November for change that's going to matter, not just for the next 4 years, but for the rest of our lifetimes.
My name is Diane Latiker, and I'm a proud member of the Women's March Chicago Board. And I vote for a couple of reasons. One, I vote for my family, I vote for my community, and most importantly, I vote for young people. I vote so they'll know how important it is and how much their voice matters. And I suggest that you do the same. Thank you.
My name is Deborah Lane from Women's March Chicago. I'm voting because our ancestors died in the streets to have this right. This election, Our lives are at stake. It's our voice, it's our choice.
I'm Cheryl. I'm a member of the Women's March Chicago. And the reason I vote is because I can and that I must. Because there are people that can't vote and people that haven't voted and people who want to vote and haven't had the opportunity to vote. And people have died for the reason. And as a woman, we really must have a vote and a voice. And we do that with our vote. So please vote.
My name is Dilara Saeed, and I'm a member of the Women's March Chicago board. I vote because my vote is my voice. As a woman of color, as an educator, as an American, in this, the most important election of our lifetime, let's go vote and achieve civic justice.
I'm Sarah Kerensky, and I'm with Women's March Chicago Board of Directors. And why do I vote? I think I've been thinking about this. For me, voting is like hope in action. When I see people standing in line for 8, 10, 12 hours to vote, to me, that's all about hope. It's about saying my voice is important and together our voices are important, and that every election we go and we vote and we're going to use our power to make choices that we think will lead to a better life for all of us. So for me, the future is about hope, and voting is about taking action on that hope. And I can't imagine why you wouldn't, so go out and take action and vote.
I'm Jackie Algie, and I am a proud board member of Women's March Chicago. Why am I voting? I'm voting because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do as my civic responsibility, but it's also the right thing to do as a moral obligation to make sure that all of the lives and the people that have sacrificed theirs to make sure that we had this right to do will not be in vain. That we will march, we will go march to the polls, we'll Zoom to the polls and vote. If we can, and we've got 3 ways that we can do it this time. We can do it by mail, we can do it by early vote, or we can do it on election day, November 3rd. But whichever you do, first of all, make a plan if you haven't voted already, and stick to your plan, stick to your word, to your commitment, and vote. Thank you.
Yes, yes, thank you so much. I just wanted to share one of the reasons I'm voting, which is RBG, rest in peace. We miss you so much. And we need some good people on that Supreme Court justice. You know what I'm saying? So we got to vote to ensure that we can fulfill her legacy in so many ways. Now, thank you to the board of Women's March Chicago. And next up, we have for you another special guest. Welcome to the virtual stage, Congresswoman Robin Kelly. Woo! Yes.
Thank you so much, all of you. It's so good to see you. So good to see so many friends. I know, people are a little down and out about things, but I will tell you that I'm like a pointer sister. I'm so excited because I believe that we are going to do this on November 3rd. We've already started. Over 22 million people have voted. People are not being deterred. They're standing on lines 3 hours, 6 hours, 11 hours. People are coming prepared with their chairs, their drinks, their books, their phones, and people will not be deterred. And women are the difference makers. We are the backbone, the loyalists, the dependable ones, and we are the ones giving people hope. So know that voting is your superpower, and we just need to make sure we exercise our power, and our voice. And I can't impress upon people enough to please vote early. Don't wait until November 3rd. If you're voting by mail, get that ballot in and get that ballot out. If you're voting in person, please try to go early, because as we say, you never know what might happen on November 3rd, because as you see by the long lines, voter suppression is out there and still going on, and people are still trying to stop us from exercising our right to vote. If you don't know where to go, please go to iwillvote.com. but we need you, your family, your friends to definitely have a plan. As I said, whether you're voting by mail, you're voting in person, you're voting early, please have a plan. And second, we need you to spread the word about Joe Biden and Kamala and Democrats up and down the ticket. We cannot take anything for granted, as we should have learned, from 2016. And it's so important to vote up and down the ticket. Don't leave people out. And then I would ask you, please don't give up. Don't lose hope. We can turn this around, believe it or not. I know the country's in crisis, and I know folks are suffering, but we're guaranteeing we won't make a change if we don't vote. We're guaranteeing that. So we all have to use our voices, our might, our influence, our persuasion to make sure that Joe Biden gets in and that Kamala Harris breaks every glass ceiling that she can break. And they have the opportunity to build back better. So I know in the coming days, actually, I'm headed to Wisconsin tomorrow, and which is a little scary with COVID, but I just think this is so important, to go and talk to as many people as possible. And I know my colleagues are going all over. People are willing to travel just to make sure that we get as many people to vote and we don't miss out as Hillary did by 80,000 votes because people thought it wasn't important. And I know I see my girl Cleo. I'm thinking about young people. We need you. Yes, as someone said, your vote, your voice does make a difference. People don't win by that much or don't lose by that much. So your vote really makes a difference, whether it's, small town, local, or whether it's for the president. So please don't lose hope. And we need your voices. We need everybody at the table to make a difference. So I just thank you guys. I'm so proud of you. I am just so proud of you. And you didn't let COVID stop you. You did Zoom, you did virtual to pull everybody together. So just thank you, thank you, thank you. And the three most important things are turnout, and more turnout. So we have to make sure that people turn out, turn up, speak out, and to get as many people involved as possible. I will be voting early, and I will be voting for Joe and Kamala. I will be voting for Dick Durbin. I will be voting for Kim Foxx. I will be voting for the Fair Tax Amendment because we do need some fairness when it comes to taxes, especially a person that lives in the South suburbs. We know well. But thank you guys so much. I'm proud of each and every one of you. And just to let you know, whether you live in my district or not, my door is always open. We really want to make a difference. And, 2020 has been rough. So we need to make sure we get 2021 off to a good start. So thank you guys so much. Wear your mask, be safe, and socially distance. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Honestly, get up, turn out. That's the message. Just turn out. That's what we got to do. We got to vote. And let's go right on next to our next speaker. Let's keep this voting train zooming to the polls going. Our next speaker is the president of the Illinois NAACP, Teresa Haley. Welcome to the virtual stage. Woo!
Thank you so much for having me here. Good afternoon, Chicago. I would just want to remind people that voting is so important. People fought, bled, and died for us to be here today, virtually, in person, whatever it's going to take. So first of all, we need to remember that 17 days on the 17th. What a perfect time to have zooming to the polls. I just want to say that we have to continue to do what we have to do. Vote early, vote often. Take people to the polls. If you have family and friends who are afraid to mail in their ballots, be willing to be a proxy for them. We're working with our local nursing homes and our senior homes because people aren't able to get out or to have polling places there. So be willing to be a proxy. Take all of the excuses away that people may have. There is something in the NAACP called Black the Vote. If Black lives matter, if your lives matter, we need you to vote like your life depends on it, because our lives really do depend on it. And we need to show up on November the 3rd. Again, 17 on the 17th. Don't wait till then. Don't wait till the battle's over. Start now. Vote. Thank you all so much for what you continue to do. We look forward to participating and getting as many people out to vote. get rid of all of the excuses that you may have, because if you don't vote, you can't complain. Your voice depends on it. Your life depends on it. Vote on November the 3rd.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for that powerful message. Vote. That's what you're hearing today. Vote. And, you know, next, speaking on our virtual stage, I feel like we have Senator Durbin here. Welcome, Senator.
I'm here.
There you go. What's your message for all of our viewers?
My message is thank you to Women's March in Chicago. You couldn't have put this together at a better moment in history. I've just finished an entire week of listening to President Trump's nominee to fill the seat of Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. And this, of course, is a lifetime appointment. And when we reflect on what Ruth Bader Ginsburg brought to America when it comes to human rights and civil rights and the rights of women, there's just no one who could replace her. And sadly, the nominee does not even share her views when it comes to the expanding power of women in America. This is our moment. November 3rd is our moment to make sure that everyone goes to the polls. I would just say quite candidly, this election is in the hands of the women of America more than any other single group. They can make a difference, not only for themselves, but for generations to come. Thanks for your march. Count on me to be behind you all the way when it comes to the votes in the United States Senate.
Thank you so much, Senator. We really appreciate that message, and thank you for being here. And, you know, thank you for the work that you're doing to help fill the seat of the great Ruth Bader Ginsburg in a way that actually is in line with our values. Now, next up, let's keep it going. Next up to our virtual stage is the Executive Vice President of SEIU Healthcare, Erica Bland-Daraseni. Erica, you there?
I am. Thank you and good afternoon. You actually got my name right.
That's right.
I joined the Women's March of Chicago today and coalition partners and allies for two reasons. One, for my son, who's 4 years old, and his future, but also two, to say enough is enough. There are efforts to suppress the vote and make sure that we don't get things done and get the things that we want. Around this country, we've seen secretaries of state fight back when we've demanded to have a safe way to vote by mail in many states across this country, even when we're living in a pandemic. And so we have to do our part to make sure that we are pushing back, expressing our voices, and making sure that when we say we're going to vote, that there's nothing that stands in the way of us voting, be that seeds of doubt that are being sown by a president, be that people who are discouraging at the voting process by mail, or the removal of mailboxes. None of that will stop us. We are here to make sure that our voices are heard. We as women must own our responsibility to vote for the future of this country and the future of our families. So I'm here today to implore you to make a plan to vote and then work that plan. There are 3 ways to vote. You can vote by mail, you can vote early in person, or you can vote in person on election day. There are numerous ways to access that information. The Chicago Board of Elections, Cook County Board of Elections, Illinois Board of Elections, but we want to make sure that you have the resources necessary to understand where you can go vote and make sure that that vote is cast. If you have concerns about how to vote or that your vote might be suppressed, when we're talking about voting in person, right? Voting early guarantees that those votes will be counted. We don't know what's going to happen on election day, but we want to make sure that our votes are counted. So even if we have that mail ballot and we're not comfortable dropping it in the mailbox to go be mailed back, we can take that and turn it into an early voting location. We want to make sure that we remove every obstacle that is in our way, that is presenting itself to be a barrier to our voices being heard in this state. In Illinois, we have work to do at the voting booth, right? A part of that work is passing fair tax. This is what is necessary for the future of our state and for the future of our families. When we talk about the services we deserve for our seniors, for our children, the only way to make sure that those things will be a reality is to support the fair tax amendment that will be on the ballot. So I am encouraging you to vote yes for fair tax to make sure that we can have a full future of our choosing. And that is all going to happen by expressing our right to vote. So today I ask you to join me in making a plan to vote and working your plan, and also talking to your networks to make sure that we get everybody to the polls that we can. Are you with me? Thank you.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are, Erica. Thank you for that powerful message. And I hear you, and I hope everyone hears you. We have to remove the obstacles to voting. And, you know, even alone, all the people that we've been hearing from, all the people watching, we can get others to vote, even if we've already done it. Now that I wish I could stay here all day and be on this stage with y'all, but that's my time. It is my pleasure and privilege to hand it off to my fellow MC, my sister in this Zooming to the Polls journey today. It's my pleasure to introduce Cleopatra Draper of WVON Radio, who's going to take over. Welcome, Cleopatra.
Hey. Thank you. You did a phenomenal job. Give us some snaps.
Yes, I'll see y'all.
So thank you so much, Fazia. I am Cleopatra Draper, your favorite millennial from WVON, and I am happy to MC today. So if you're feeling good because you're a woman, give me some snaps. If you're ready to vote and you already vote, give yourself some claps. This is our day and this is our moment as we own the polls. November 3rd is our day. So I am excited to be with you today. And I just wanted to give you all one quick quote from a very powerful woman known as Shirley Chisholm, my sorority sister. And she said eloquently, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. And we're taking marching orders, not only from Mrs. Michelle Obama. Pack your lunch, bring your chair, stand out and stand for your vote, because we are voting our values. This is our moment. And speaking of a moment, I wanted to make sure that we definitely gave our state's attorney, Ms. Kim Fox, an opportunity to grace us with her message today. Attorney Fox, are you with me?
I am with you, Soror.
Excellent, Soror. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so proud and happy to be Zooming to the polls with you all. I wish we could be doing it in person. But when the Women's March started, it was in response to what we saw in 2016. And I have been tired of talking about how disappointing 2016 was. I'm so excited to be talking about what's about to happen on November 3rd. The past is behind us. The future is in our hands. And for me, you know, I am on the ballot, but justice is on the ballot from the top of the ticket all the way down. Justice is on the ballot. As you heard Senator Durbin say that this week they're having confirmation hearings for someone who is actively going to try to turn back Roe v. Wade. Why does that matter? Because when we look at the top of the ticket and the attempts that they're making to enact policies that hurt women, we might sometimes think, well, what does the bottom of the ticket have to do with that? It means, like me, a prosecutor who has said that whatever they do to try to criminalize reproductive rights, I will not participate and I will actively fight against it because I know what's at stake. And that's what this moment is about, making sure that we have women in leadership positions from the vice president to your prosecutor to judges who understand what's at stake, what our lives mean, and have a lived experience. And so I'm done talking about the past. I'm done talking about the occupant who currently lives at the White House right now. I'm talking about where we moving, how we going, how we mobilize. We've been in formation since 2016. It's now time to execute the plan, execute the strategy, no excuses. We getting out to the polls starting now and every day until then to make this happen. We cannot afford to let our foot off the gas for a single moment. So I'm so grateful to be here with all of you, telling you you that I'm here committed to making sure that for my time in office now and into the next 4 years, that the issues that face women here in Cook County are always going to be my top priority, because as Sorrel Chisholm said, my seat is at the table and I'm grateful to set the agenda. So let's get it done on November 3rd.
Yes, so thank you so much. And what does your shirt say?
My shirt says Black Women Lead.
I feel you. Black women do lead. And I thought I warned everybody, just as an educated Black woman, as women on this call, women that are tuning in, this is your moment. So thank you so much, Attorney Fox, for joining us with that very powerful message. So up next, we have a video from our very own Madam Preckwinkle, President Preckwinkle, Cook County Board, Tony Preckwinkle, and Ms. Jackie Grimshaw, not to mention Mayor. So let's tune in to see what they have to say.
County Board of Commissioners. You know, I always look forward to the Women's March. While I know that it's not safe for us to meet in person, I know that we're connected through our commitment to equity and change. This has been a tremendously difficult year. We're experiencing several intersecting crises. The COVID-19 pandemic that has taken the lives of thousands of people in Illinois and hundreds of thousands across the country. The worst economic recession in recent memory, and a national moment of reckoning with racial injustice and police violence. I'm hopeful that we will show up to the polls in record numbers and vote as if our lives depended on it, because they do. If you're not already registered to vote, it's not too late. It's crucial that you make a plan now on where and when you will vote. We're also in need of election judges. Traditionally, many of our election judges are senior citizens, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, I urge our young and healthy children, neighbors, and friends to volunteer as an election judge if they're able to do so. This is an important civic duty, and keeping elderly and high-risk residents safe is important. It has always been an honor to stand in solidarity with the Women's March Chicago. I know we are together in spirit this year as we continue to fight for a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Hey, welcome, Mayor. How are you?
Hey, hi, thank you so much, and good afternoon, Chicago. My name is Meher Rahman, and I work for Apnagar. So the conversation on women's rights cannot be complete without mentioning the rights of immigrant women, and those immigrant women like me, who are survivors of crime and violence. The severity of the threat that they face, their struggles, their day-to-day challenges are so very real, and they need to be addressed at so many levels, individual, family, community, and systems level. And that is why, we need to get out there and vote, because we need to change the things at the systems level. I'm honored to work for Apnagar, which stands for Our Home, and is committed to working with immigrant and refugee survivors of gender violence. We understand gender violence as clearly a human rights violation, and we have chosen to address it with a culturally specific, a very comprehensive, and a strengths-based approach. If you know anyone, or if you are experiencing violence, please do not be silent. Please reach us on our 24-hour crisis line, 773-334-4663. And we can continue to serve these women better if we get out and vote and bring that change. So please get out there and vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that message. And next up, I must acknowledge our very own Miss Jackie Grimshaw. Hi, Miss Jackie.
Hey there, Cleopatra. It's so good to see you. And thank you very much for this wonderful program. I would just want to let everybody know that I chair two organizations, Chicago Women Take Action, which is committed to creating a strong women's agenda and voice in Chicago. And that includes acting together on issues of importance in politics and in direct action. So that we can move a more more partisan issues, we created a 501c4 organization, which I also chair, CWTAX. Now, CWTAX will be working on issues including developing and aiding women candidates for elected office. That is why we are so excited and committed to the election of Senator Kamala Harris as vice president, and so proud of former VP Joe Biden for selecting her as his running mates. Now, my message today is really to young voters. I've been making calls to Pennsylvania to identify Joe and Kamala voters. I spoke to a 21-year-old first-time voter who was so committed to the election of our candidates that she organized a time for her whole family and close friends to go to the polls together to vote on November 3rd. She asked about volunteering to persuade other young people and first-time voters because she understands that racism, police brutality, her economic future, as well as COVID-19 are on the ballot. She is so committed to learning about other candidates and how to hold elected officials accountable. With young folks like her and those young people participating today, I know our future is safe and it is in good hands. And don't forget, make your plans just like young Brittany in Philadelphia. Make your plans, organize your family, organize your friends, and vote and vote and vote and vote. Thanks, Cleopatra. I look forward to seeing you on WVON.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So I wanted to acknowledge Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, our notorious RBG. And I wanted to say a quote from her. She suggests that we fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And that's what we've done today. We have stand together as women marching to the polls and bringing more women, like Ms. Jackie talked about, young and old, to the polls. Because you know why? We will own November 3rd, and we will get our White House back, and we will have new leadership, and we must declare it together. You know why? Because we're voting our values. That's what matters. Women are deciding the fate, but you have to confirm it and you must own it. So up next is none other than Miss Yasa Abraham. Yasa, you're up next, darling. Where are you? So you know in Zoom land, we must unmute.
I am right here. Salam and peace. I bring you blessings in the name of our God, most merciful and all-powerful. My name is Yesha Abraham, and I am the Partnerships Fellow with the Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition. I'm so happy to be here today and to help all of us women Zoom to the polls. And I just want to say, what's your voting plan? Now, admittedly, my voting plan was super easy. My polling place happens to be right across the street from my house. So what did I do? I rolled out of bed yesterday, popped my butt over there, and I cast my vote, and I did it happily. So, I mean, there might be some people who are like, well, President, it's not that big of a deal for me. Listen, the president is not the only big deal on our polls. In the state of Illinois, we have a lot of things at stake right now. We have senator elections. We have congressional elections. We have statewide referenda that need our votes. And we also need to be careful about who we're voting for judges. Now, why do judges matter? Now, Attorney Ms. Kim Fox can tell you all about why it's so important to vote for judges. We need to make sure that the people who are adjudicating our cases are people who can hand down fair judgments that are not shaded by corruption. So we really need to get in touch with everything that is on the ballot, from the tippy top all the way down to the rock bottom. So I just say Zoom to those polls, get that voting plan. If you got to go across town or across the street, make sure you get to those polls and get it done today, tomorrow, or on the 3rd. So with that, keep on Zooming. We got this, ladies. Salam alaikum. I bring you peace. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for those warm regards. And I must take another moment. I see Shawnee is with us. Shawnee Smith, come on down to this spotlight. It is your season.
Hello, family. How are you? My name is Shawnee Smith, and I am a proud member of the Women's March Chicago, as well as the director of Black Cornerstones. We are a civic engagement group, a community organization, and I am here to tell you today that I vote for every time this Black woman was told that she wasn't enough. So every time that you were told that you were not enough, go to the polls. Vote your voice and vote your values. Vote today.
Thank you so much. And you know what, as I think about it too, I'm voting for the future. I don't have children yet, but I want them to live in a world that I know that they deserve. And the only way we can determine that is if we vote our values. So yes, Shawnee, I am with you. And up next now is Dina.
Hi everyone, I'm Dina from the Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you strong and powerful women. I'm voting for all the women who cannot vote, and I'm voting for my 2-year-old niece so she can live in a better world than we do now. I have my voting plan, and I hope you all have your voting plan too. Mine is to vote on election day in person, and let's Zoom to the polls and make a difference.
Yes, thank you so much, Dina. And thank you for supporting your 2-year-old niece. That matters too. So up next, we're going to check out what's going on live at Phalanx. I'm excited to see what they're doing now. It's so exciting. What's going on at Phalanx, guys?
Hey guys, okay. You're live.
Well. I'm not real good with the mask on up close. I need to pull it down some. But I'm so grateful to be out to encourage you to get out and vote. Because I've been working with the Women's March Chicago for some time because we want everyone to get out and vote. It is most important for us to get out and vote so that we can exercise our rights. And our rights so that we can have funding for our communities. And through this organization, we've done such an excellent job. So if we get out and make sure that everyone get out and vote, and most important right now, because we need to be able to show our young adults how important it is for them to be a part of the process. And if they are a part of the process, then they are a part of the solution. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Here's our sign, Women's March Chicago. I'm out here with Miss Diane Latiker. That's right, for us to be out, which works over on the east side of this area to bring the young people in. Thank you again, Diane, because she educates the young people on how important it is for her to vote. Yes.
Well, you know what? That is our very own Miss Alderwoman Carrie Austin.
We are together.
We are together.
And you hear her. In other words, they are
Women's March Chicago is really stepping forward to make sure that our voice is heard. I'm Diane Latiker. I'm a newly board member of Women's March Chicago, and I'm excited about that. I'm also president and founder of Kids Off the Block, and we are out here. People, middle-aged people, old people, black, white, I don't care what color you are. This is our voice. Right now, our voice needs to be heard. So please, get to the polls. Women's March Chicago encourages you to get to the polls. Make your voice heard. Thank you.
Thank you all. Yes. So you just heard from Alderwoman Carrie Austin and Kids Off the Block president, Ms. Diane Latiker. And they are live at Phalanx, and they are just demanding, no matter what color, black, brown, blue, or purple, get to the polls, make your voice heard, vote your values. You got it right. So up next is our very own Miss Marissa Miller, and she's with She Votes Illinois. Welcome, Marissa.
Thank you. Thank you. We talk about voting being a civic responsibility, but it's also a power. Voting in this election is about people reclaiming their power. And sometimes it's hard to communicate to your friends and your family about how interconnected policy decisions are with your everyday existence. it's a big concept, right? Voting affects whether you have clean water to drink, good air to breathe, whether your friends are safe and healthy, whether you get to have a dog park up the street. Big and small things, but it all goes back to that one act of voting, that one act to elect someone who will be an extension of your will in the government. If people don't understand how these things with really boring names do actually affect their lives, it's hard to get people ready to fight. And the most frustrating thing about it is that sometimes once a battle is won, you would think it would stay won. You'd think a Voting Rights Act wouldn't be gutted, that people wouldn't have to wait in lines for 10 hours with their Lunchable snacks in a cooler. You can't take for granted that just because you fought for something and won something, that it stays won. You can't concede hard-won ground. You need to be consistent in your voting because the people who want to attack and whittle away at those rights will be consistent. So you have to vote in this election and the next and the next and the next, and you have to never let up. If you have had those conversations with people and they're ready, but they're not sure how to start, it's a process that can be really scary or overwhelming. That's what She Votes Illinois wants to help with. We made a dashboard on a platform called Motivote. You register on the platform, you make a voting plan, you send out invites to your friends and your family and random people you know, you get points. Everyone gets a very sensible amount of reminders from Motivote, and you can win prizes with those points. We want this to be an additional tool in your arsenal, a link that you can send that's approachable, will walk someone through the process, break it into small steps, and get them to do the thing. They'll see that they're part of a larger team and that it's not just one vote that they can't see making a difference, but 100, part of 1,000 of us in it together. There'll be a link in the comments so you can sign up, send your invites, have some fun with it, and maybe you'll win some voting socks or some tea on the way.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much, Marissa. And she's right here. We are zooming to the polls. Make your plans, get active. Check out She Votes Illinois. It really is awesome, guys, so don't miss out. So up next is Marilyn Katz. Marilyn, where are you? Uh-oh. In Zoom, sometimes we have technical difficulties. If you haven't been here, you haven't been in Zoom.
Great.
Here's Marilyn. Okay.
Here I am. So I am so excited about this march, zooming to the polls, and everything that's going on this weekend. Last night, a lot of us listened to the cast of Hamilton talk about how their lives are transformed by having the idea that real people like you and I and everyone else can make history. And in fact, we're compelled to make history. So right now, I'm working with Women's March, and tonight I'm going to be watching the 50 to 50 concert, which you can find at 50to50concert.com, which is going to raise funds for GOTV activists all over the country. And last night I found out that Women to Win, Women #2 Win, a group started by Donna Miller and Josephine Perry and a lot of Chicago women, has raised $70,000 to go to elect Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And we're going for 100, so come on, donate through us. And the most important thing is donate your money what you can and get on those phones, write those postcards, make sure not only those of us in Chicago get to the polls, but in Milwaukee, in Detroit, in Pittsburgh, in Philadelphia. This country is our country. And, it's really funny. 87% of us are really progressive. We live in cities, we work, we pay taxes, and yet our country is controlled by 20% of the population or less who are old white men over 60. So don't talk about stacking the courts. Let's talk about rebalancing Congress, rebalancing the Electoral College, and ending the legacy of slavery, which put Southern and small white-dominated states in control. Let's go to the polls and change and make history. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. And Marilyn made a very valid point. In terms of paying taxes, if you are paying taxes in Illinois, you are paying a flat rate. We are fighting for a graduated rate. That means that we want fair taxes in Illinois. So make sure that you support the fair tax in Illinois. Only you can do it. And that's by us voting our values and using our voice at the poll. So if I may share, I am rocking an RGB shirt And it says, never underestimate the power of a girl with a book. And these women on the calls have read all kinds of books, and they are geared up and ready to own November 3rd. I look forward to seeing you at the polls. I am Cleopatra Draper, your favorite millennial from WVON. And up next is our very own Senator, State Senator, Robert Peters, and Miss Grace. Robert, are you with us?
Yeah, we're here. Thank you, Cleopatra. So I'm Senator Robert Peters of the 13th District, and this is my partner, Grace Pye. I'm going to just start off by sort of talking about my life and sort of what led me here and sort of where we're heading. I was born in 1985. My biological mom was addicted to drugs and alcohol. Ronald Reagan's war on drugs was ravaging through our country. I was born deaf with a speech impediment, and I was adopted. I was adopted by a civil rights lawyer for a father and a social worker for a mom. And when I think about the last 30 to 40 years, I think about a lot of people who've gone through a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. And I think it's led us to folks like Donald Trump and his movement down ballot. And I think about the fact that in 2020, we've been hit with three crises: a crisis of public health, a crisis economically, and a crisis when it comes to structural racism. But it's not telling us anything new. It's something we've seen. The last 30 to 40 years, we've seen this. And we have an opportunity in this election to defeat Donald Trump, to defeat his movement down ballot, to defeat Bruce Rauner's zombie donors and win a fair tax. We have an opportunity for us to build a 21st century Illinois that is beautiful and is wholesome. So someone like me isn't forced out of my mom's hands, but I'm able to live in a home with a roof over my head, a grocery store, and a good life. So we must get out to vote. We must defeat Donald Trump. We must defeat his movement down ballot, but we must win a world that we all deserve, that gives us the safety and the justice and the dignity that we all need. So go out and vote this election, early vote, get your mail-in ballot, and I'm honored to be here. So let me turn it over to someone who will, display a better message.
Thanks, Robert. My name is Grace Pye. I am the co-founder and director of movement politics of Asian American Midwest Progressives. And I organize and build power in the Asian American community because we need change. That's what all brings us to this call today, right? We are fighting for change in our communities. And so many of our communities have suffered so greatly over the last 4 years and under this administration. Even prior to that, as Robert was saying, right? Donald Trump and his legacy didn't come out of nowhere. And I think of people like my grandmother and my late grandfather who survived war and occupation to start a new life in the United States. So I'm voting for immigrant and refugee women. I'm voting for the matriarchs of our families. I'm voting for care workers, domestic workers, mixed status families, and undocumented folks, just to name a few. I'm thinking about what the Asian American community is going through right now. Asian Americans have seen a stark rise in harassment, xenophobic, racism and violence in the wake of COVID-19. And that's in large part because of the rhetoric that we've seen, spewed by the president of the United States. He has incited this type of violence towards our communities, but our communities are not alone in facing this violence. And so, we have to come together. We keep each other safe. We must come together to defeat Donald Trump. But, I want to echo what Robert said. It's not just about Donald Trump. We have to defeat all of the down ballot candidates and the policies that represent that same white nationalist ideology, that same xenophobia and anti-immigrant agenda, the same anti-Blackness that we've seen throughout history. So we need to pass the fair tax. We want to get out and vote yes for the fair tax. We need to elect progressives up and down the ballot, and we have to continue the fight after the election. We have to stay engaged. So I hope everyone joining us online will make a plan to vote today. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you all. And if I may make Senator Peters blush, he was looking at you so smitten as you were speaking. I love it, guys. Thanks so much for encouraging more people to the polls. to the polls. Make sure you vote your voice. Again, I have been your MC for the past half hour. I am Cleopatra Draper, your favorite millennial from WVON. Up next is our sister, next MC, Miss Catherine McNeil. Catherine, please take it away.
So much, Cleopatra. It has been a pleasure watching you and Fazia MC. You guys have done phenomenal. I am Catherine McNeil, founder of CABM Services. I am one of the partners here at Phalanx for the event that is on the ground, and I am so excited to be a part of Women's March Chicago. Thank you guys for having me. You have heard from some phenomenal people. We've heard from our state's attorney, we've heard from our comptroller, we have heard from our senators, from our mayor, we've heard from so many people, and the bottom line voice has been, make sure that you are voting, and I'm gonna encourage you to do absolutely the same. In my county, we were out day one of early voting. We stood in line for 2.5 hours. It was the first time that has ever happened in my life. I've never stood in line for that amount of time to vote. However, I understand the importance of this election, and that's why we're here, so we can press that upon you guys too. So without further ado, we have some great speakers coming up. We've had great, and we have some more greats coming. And now, first up is Greg Kelly.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It truly is an honor to be with you all today. My name is Greg Kelly, and I have the distinct honor of being president of SEIU Healthcare Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and Kansas, which is a union of 90,000 home care, hospital, child care, and nursing home workers. Our members are mostly women, and they are predominantly women of color. And so 3 decades ago, 7 Black women came together. They were home care workers, and they gathered together in the basement of a church and said, we're home care workers, but we're going to stand up and fight for ourselves. The law prevented them from forming their union, but they came together anyway and said that we're going to change the way in which home care is treated in our state. And here we are just a few decades later, and now SEIU Healthcare Illinois is the largest local union in the entire Midwest. It was the courage and vision of those amazing women that made our union even possible. Now, it's been popular lately to refer to essential workers, frontline caregivers as heroes. We knew even before COVID that those workers were heroes. Unfortunately, it took COVID for folks to come to that realization. It is important now more than ever that we protect and respect frontline workers and the work that they do. They have been underappreciated, primarily because they are women and they are women of color. But it is our responsibility to stand in the gap and advocate and support women now more than ever. And so it is indeed my honor to present the next speaker who embodies the courage and vision of those 7 Black women that helped form our powerful union. It is my pleasure to present a former nursing home worker, a strong member of our union who is going to make Springfield stand up and pay attention to the voice of women. It is my honor to present the state representative of the 9th Legislative District, State Representative Lakisha Collins.
Thank you, Greg. President Greg Kelly. Can you all hear me? Because I'm on my car phone. Just shake your head. Yeah, okay. So it is an honor to be here with you all today. Those kind words from you, President Kelly, makes my heart melt. But yes, I was a former CNA before I ran for office. This is my first time running for office. And as a CNA for 11 years, I noticed the mistreatment of not only the workers, but the seniors that we cared for. And it was root issues that prevented us from giving the utmost quality care that our seniors deserved. And so I immediately got involved in that fight. I didn't know a whole lot about politics until I got really active in my union, SEIU Healthcare. And that's where I was able to organize thousands of my coworkers across the city and state of Illinois to go to Springfield and fight for Nursing Home Reform Act and also fight for short staffing enforcement. But I got really active and engaged in the fight for 15 and fair tax. And so these many fights pretty much shaped me for who I am today. And the reason why I ran for office is because I simply just got tired of the same old politics. I got tired of seeing our communities being, disproportionately resourced. I got tired of seeing the gun violence in predominantly Black and brown neighborhoods, and the fact that no one was really paying attention to the root causes of the violence that we were experiencing. I am someone who, lived from house to house as a young girl. I am someone who, had to go from school to school because of my living conditions. But I also know what it feels. I also know, what it's like to grow up in a system when it's actually funded and it works for you. But I also know what it's like when that system is not funded. And so that motivated me to run for office. And my plans for the 9th district is to make sure that across my district, that all the communities that I cover, they have fully funded schools. We have affordable, accessible housing, that healthcare is accessible and affordable, and that we have mental health clinics that, people in the community can, finally have an opportunity to tackle the trauma that they're facing every day, but that we spend our budget the right way and that it goes to the things that we need, that are vital services, that our seniors don't have to worry about, fighting for services that they need, but that our kids, that they get the quality education that they deserve. And so this election, there is a lot on the line. And so I do encourage everyone to get out and vote. Even though the president's seat is important, our local government is even more important. And so this election that I ran back in March when I won the primary was so historic because I am the first young Black woman to take on a seat that's been held by a family for over 40 years. And so, if it wasn't for, working class people and the community who really embraced me and shared my vision, and if I didn't listen to what the people wanted and gave them a choice to decide, something different, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. But it is the love and the support and the development of my union and why I sit here today talking to all of you. So get out and vote, let your voices be heard, and let's do some work.
Lisa, thank you so much. I felt your heart and I heard it while you were speaking. Thank you so much for that message. Greg, thank you as well too. We want to keep things rolling. So now our comptroller, Mrs. Susan Mendoza.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're all having a great time. I have to tell you that I am so excited about this election. Lakisha, you were great. I don't know if she still can hear me, but I hope she can because she did great. But make sure you keep your eyes on the road. We're keeping our eyes on this election, which is just around the corner. And my little guy just popped his head in here. This is David, who's 7, and he's properly representing today. Check out his shirt, right? Can you see it? All right, because who's going to be our next president, buddy? Joe Biden. Woo! So here's the deal. This election is truly, I think Michelle Obama said it best when she said, we need to vote like if our life depends on it. And I have never, ever felt that to be more true than it is today. I mean, literally, we'll soon be approaching probably 300,000 people, Americans who have died, the vast majority of them needlessly because of the failed leadership that we have at a national level. As a controller who's charged with paying the state's bills and who, in the beginning of the outbreak here in Illinois, had to figure out how we were going to come up with the dollars to get the very necessary critical PPE to our frontline providers, it really felt like we were left entirely on our own. Our governor, my office, right? The president said, you guys figure it out on your own. It was the worst example of failed leadership. You almost really have to try so hard to be that bad. And that's who we have today. Now, I want to just share a story that will tell you why, I don't know, one of the reasons why I think I'm so passionate and why I think it's so important for all of us to exercise our voice through our vote. And some of us are very bombastic. You know, I'm definitely an A-type personality. Others are quiet, but it doesn't matter if you're the quietest voice or the loudest one. On election day, your voice, that's the one day every 4 years that your voice is just as powerful as the President of the United States, and we make it heard at the ballot box. When I was about 10 years old, I lived in the suburbs. I had moved from Chicago because of the gang violence to the suburbs. And I was with my dad at a grocery store. And I used to speak, well, he's not around anymore. He passed away 25 years ago, but my whole life I grew up only speaking Spanish to my mom and dad. And that's why I'm fluent today. And I'm very proud of that. And now I teach Spanish to my son. But when I was about 10 years old, we were in a grocery store in the suburbs, which, by the way, Donald Trump thinks he's saved, which is another code language for he tells white women that Black people will have a hard time moving into the burbs under his watch. So that's the kind of president we have. But when I lived in the suburbs, I was at this grocery store and talking to my dad in Spanish, which we always did. And this big burly white guy comes up to us in the middle of the grocery store and yells, "Hey, this is America. In America, we speak English." And I remember for this like brief second, like feeling all of this shame all of a sudden. I'm this little tiny kid who had never thought there's anything wrong with speaking Spanish to my dad. I'm a proud American. I was born here. And this guy yells and embarrasses us in front of other people saying, "This is America, speak English." And I thought, wow, am I only supposed to speak English in America? Like for this minute, or maybe a few seconds, I felt this deep sense of shame, which I'm embarrassed to acknowledge right now. And my dad was always a pacifist. So I never imagined that he would do anything other than just, ignore the guy. But instead, he looks at the guy and he goes, "Yeah, this is America." And by the way, he said it in his thickest Spanish accent. So it was like, "Yes, this is America. And in America, I can speak whatever language I want. I speak two. How many do you speak?" And in that moment, the shame that I felt turned into like, whoa, my dad is a complete badass. Cover your ears, Debbie. I was so just inspired and motivated and just happy and proud, the proudest I'd probably ever been and felt of my father. And that was the moment, ladies, when I found my voice. Because yes, you can uncover your ears. I was scared and all of a sudden I was proud, and I felt that no one would ever again in my life make me feel like that guy did in that moment, because of my dad standing up for what was right, for the values of America. And that's what this election is about. It's about our values. Who are we as a country? Are we a country that values diversity and that welcomes people of other races or of other countries who speak other languages, who speak multiple languages, right? And that was the day that I realized that I would never be made to feel like that again. And so as an elected official, it's certainly part of my greatest privilege to fight for other people who feel that they are underrepresented or don't have a voice at all. But we all have a voice. Any one of us that can vote has a voice that we can either exercise right now. We may have already exercised over the last week or so, and we'll definitely have a chance, the last chance, on November 3rd. So please, for our future, literally for our lives, as we see are ticking away under this time bomb, this bomb that we have of a president, it's up to us to get ourselves to the vote, to the polls, and vote. We cannot take this for granted. I know that right now Joe Biden appears to be killing it in the polls, but hey, polls mean nothing. What matters is the final tally on election day. So don't let the fact that we feel, we really do, I certainly feel that we are winning this and we're going to win it. Let's make it happen. Don't take it for granted. Ignore the polls. Get out to vote. Get every single other breathing human being that you know is not a racist, misogynist, sexist out there to vote. in favor of the change that we need as a country today more than ever. So thank you for letting me share my story, but it's really just a story to say that the guy that made me feel that way, if he's still alive today, he's gonna vote for Donald Trump. And there's a whole lot of other people just like that. Let's outnumber them, let's outvalue them, and let's outvote them. So thank you and God bless you, and let's keep up the good fight, all right?
Thank you so much, Comptroller Mendoza, and thank you so much for your transparency, because in a time like today, we need to hear stories from especially elected officials who have had experiences similar to those of us who are boots on the ground and in the communities have been experiencing every day over the last 4 years. So thank you so much for your transparency, and thank you for reminding us that immigrants built this country, so we all have a place here that is actually the American way.
Thank you.
Oh, guys, thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
And we're still moving because, again, we've heard from so many fabulous, impactful, and wonderful partners on the march, or with the march, and we have yet more to go. So who's up next? State Rep Kelly. State Rep Kelly, I believe we're kicking to a video, so let's hear from them now.
Actually, I don't have a video. I'm live.
Oh, you're here. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Even better. See that sincere surprise?
Is it live or is it Memorex? It's really me.
Yes, I love those types of surprises. Well, we're glad that you're here, and we are looking forward to hearing from you. Take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Lakisha. I've been in office since 2011. And, as Susanna said, no election I have ever been involved with has ever been more important than this one. We are voting for our lives. We are voting for our marriages. We are voting for our families. We are voting to protect our reproductive freedom. There are so many things at risk in this election. And we've got volunteers out on the street right now. I'm in my campaign office now, the Democratic Party of the 49th Ward. We've got folks out there pushing hard for Joe Biden, pushing hard for the fair tax, making sure that we run those numbers up in the districts where we've got solid support. We've got volunteers out in districts all over the state trying to help some of our more at-risk colleagues win their races. I am so excited to serve with Lakisha. She told me right after she took office that mine was the first campaign she had ever worked on. Look where that gets us, right? We now get to serve together, and I'm so excited. She brings such an incredibly important voice. And it's possible after this election cycle that our chamber will be majority women. Think about that for a second. The Democratic caucus is going to be a woman's majority caucus. That's right. You dance, Susanna, me too, because I am excited about that. I am excited to get to work after this election and start undoing the harms that this administration has done to my community and the communities that I partner with and care about every single day. Here in Illinois, we passed the Reproductive Health Act. So there's a firewall around the state of Illinois protecting reproductive freedom. But you know what? Good allyships means not stopping there. That means making sure that we roll back the attacks on immigrant communities. This first generation voter every year walked to the polls with my dad, and he would tell me his crossing story. He would tell me his arrival story, and he would talk about why he came here and what he intended for us. And I walk my kids to the polls and I tell them their grandfather's story, because it is so important to understand the weight, the power of that vote, the effort that people put forth to have that franchise. And it is ours by birth. And that gives us so much more responsibility to ensure that we are standing up for folks who don't have power, who don't have access. And that's why I do the work I do every single day. Please join me. Make your plan to vote. Make sure that you're not just talking to the couple people on each side of you, but you're talking to everyone you know and everyone they know. Their vote matters. There is nothing more important than winning this election this year. And I thank you all for putting in the time between now and Election Day. Think about everything that's on your to-do list. Take a look at it and ask yourself, is that something I got to get done before November 3rd, or can I dedicate that time to making phone calls, sending texts, writing postcards, knocking doors, whether that is a 15-minute meeting with somebody or getting your nails done or getting your hair cut. Put that time in the bank. Put that time in the bank for your candidates to win, for the fair tax to pass. We can do this, but it's going to take all of us, and it's going to take all of us pushing hard to the finish line to close strong. Thank you so much. I love you all. Let's win.
Kelly, between you and Comptroller Mendoza, I do not know which one of you lit a bigger fire in the last 5 to 10 minutes. Sharing of those stories lets us see that we are more, that we have more in common than we are different. And one of those biggest things, again, you'll hear us say this every time we cut back to an MC, is making sure that you vote. Guys, vote like your life depends on it. Thank you, thank you, thank you again. State Rep Cassidy, thank you so much. Up next, Tanya from Healthy Foods. Tanya, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Yes, I
All
am.
right,
Peace,
take it over.
everyone. Peace, everyone. I'm so honored to be here and speak with you all. Hi, Susana. It's nice to see you again, too. My name is Tanya Lozano. I'm the founder of Healthy Hood Chicago. I'm a pastor's kid, the daughter of a Panther, and the niece of slain Mexicano leader here in Chicago, Rudy Lozano. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm gonna say it again. We gotta vote. I'm here to talk to my Latino, my Latinx community in specific, my community of sisters, mis hermanas. Over 220,000 people have died from this pandemic. You know, and at some point, I think we should probably have a moment of silence for all of those people. But the lack of effort from this government to eradicate this virus is no coincidence. Of those 220,000 people that have died, the majority of those people are Black and brown. And I'm gonna break this down because this is no coincidence. Even before COVID-19, there has been a 20-year, sometimes 30-year life expectancy gap in our city of Chicago between communities of color and affluent communities. It is actually the largest life expectancy gap in all of the nation. And a lot of this has to do with how historically segregated our city is. It magnifies the disparities that exist in our systems in this country. The same diseases that cause that life expectancy gap are the same pre-existing underlying conditions that leave our people more vulnerable to die from this pandemic. Again, this is no coincidence. In addition, our criminal justice system locks up Black and brown people by crazy numbers, disproportionately to white people. And in the midst of a pandemic, ICE has continued to separate and deport people from their families and throw them in concentration camps. And we all have seen the stories and the horrors of the children locked in cages at the border. Prisons and detention centers are both breeding grounds for the COVID-19 virus. This is no coincidence, and we need to call it what it is. Our people are at war. We are under attack, and we are literally dying right now. So I'm just here to say to my sisters, right? We can do this. Women can decide this election. And it's not just the presidential election, it's all of our local elections. It's so important to change these systems. All of our systems have blood on their hands right now. So it is important for us to be able to construct new systems that are created that actually include equality and include all of us, Black, brown, all people of color, women, LGBTQ. If we don't create new systems, and the only way we're going to create new systems is if women have a seat at the table. So that's what this is. We are showing our power as women through our vote. And we're getting ready. Let's be honest, men have been in power for a long time and they screwed it up, okay? It's gonna be up to us, as it always is, to fix this. So I'm telling you, come out and vote for those people who cannot. We are mothers. Our children under the age of 18, they don't get a say in this. So we have to come to the polls. We have to vote for them. We have to vote for the millions of undocumented people living in the shadows. We have to vote for the millions of dreamers who are left. They don't even know what's gonna happen to them, right? We have to vote for all of those who are incarcerated in states where they are not able to vote. We have to vote for the 220,000 plus people who have lost their lives to this virus. So please, again, I urge everyone to get out there, to do their research, to make their voter guides, to hit up all of the resources available and get out there and vote. Remember, all power to the people.
Tanya, thank you. Thank you so very much. And thank you for reminding us that it's more at stake than just the presidential election. Thank you for grounding us and letting us hear your heart and your voice. We have so much more to come, but first, because I told you guys, I'm Catherine McNeil and I'm the founder of CHBM Services. So I'm one of the partners here on the ground at Phalanx. We need to check in outside really quickly to kind of find out some more about voting and what's going on around here. Are you guys there?
Hey there, here we are live from Phalanx, and we're just doing some exciting things out here still. I mean, we got all kind of vendors that are out here doing wonderful giveaways, but in addition to that, we have League of Women Voters here answering questions of voters that are planning to vote and those that are trying to make a plan to vote. And we're going to talk to Sarah to try and figure out some of the questions that people are asking, but more importantly, the answers that she can give them. Sarah?
Hi. So here's the thing. One of the questions that everyone keeps asking me is, I thought I was going to vote by mail. I ordered my vote by mail application, and now I don't want to vote by mail anymore. So can I still vote? You can always still vote. Everybody gets to vote, everybody's vote gets counted, and everybody's voice is heard. And that's just how it works. So here's what you do. If you have your vote by mail ballot, and you decide you want to go and vote early instead, take your vote by mail ballot and envelope with you, go to your polling place, turn it in, and then you'll vote in person. It's that easy. You just have to surrender your ballot, and then you're able to vote in person. You can do it either early or you can do it when you go on November 3rd. So that's the first question that everybody's been asking me, Jackie. Some of the other questions people have been asking me, I'm looking at my notes here because we've had quite a few people come by. So some of the other questions that people have been asking me is, are we going to know the results on November 3rd? Like we always know. Well, this year we might not, because all those vote by mail ballots go in and they get processed. And that's the important part. So like I said, everybody's vote gets counted, everybody's voice matters. So one of the things we want to encourage people to do is put their ballots in early. If you're voting by mail, if you're going to vote by mail, submit those ballots early. They cannot be counted until the evening after the polls close on November 3rd. So if you turn them in now and you put them in a ballot in a drop box, then what happens is they will get processed and they'll be ready for counting at 7:01 when the polls close on November 3rd. So that's the other thing. One other question that everybody wants to know is, I didn't register yet. Can I still register? Oh yeah, guess what? You can register in Illinois at the polls all the way up to Election Day. However, the easiest thing to do is register online, and tomorrow is the last day to register online. So if you want to register online, you can go to your election authority, you go online and can register. All you need to register online is an ID and the last 4 numbers of your social security number. Super easy. If not, then you have to go when you go to the polling place, whether you go early or you go on November 3rd, then you can still register. It's not a problem. We like everyone to vote in Illinois. We want to make it so you can vote here in Illinois. Jackie, have you heard any other questions that we've been running around? I don't know if I've missed a bunch of them.
No, I mean, one of the questions that I heard people ask is, if I don't vote during early vote, am I guaranteed to be able to go to the same polling site? That's a question that people, because a lot of polling sites have changed.
A lot of polling sites have changed. Well, the polling sites are changed because they're early voting. So we have a lot of early voting sites open, and that was because of COVID, so that we can get people to vote early without having to stand in long lines, and we can maintain social distancing. So what you need to do is you need to go online, and an easy place to find out all these answers is at the Illinois Voter Guide, which you can just, it's www.illinois.voterguide.org, and that will tell you where your polling places are. Your early polling places and your November 3rd polling places. So that's the issue, is that we don't always know our early voting places have changed. But you can always vote. That's the thing, is we always vote. And what if Jackie's heard me say this so many times today, once you've voted, your job is not done, right? Right? So once you've voted, then your job is to go take at least 2 friends and make sure that they voted. Okay, take 2. Are we good?
That's right, Sarah. And take 2. And if you want, it's okay. You can take 4. You can even take 10. Take as many as your car will fit, or that you can help to lead in a caravan to a polling site and get them to vote. It's important. Don't get left out. Take 2. And if you want,
Thank you, ladies. We definitely have that message, and we're going to reiterate that message. Make it a date. It could be a group outing. It could be a one-on-one, however you want to look at it. Get to the polls. And remember, if you have not registered, it is not too late. You have time. All the way up until November 3rd, you can register at the actual polls. Make sure that you have 2 pieces of ID and you're ready to go. So it'll take you a little bit longer. However, you can do it that day. So you can either early vote in person now. You can go register at the polls now, and you can grab your mail-in ballot if you're prepared to do it that way, and you can actually drop it off at the polls, or you can vote in person. Those are your options, and we are supporting you whichever way you want to go. So let's keep this ball rolling. And I think up next is our Cook County Commissioner, Donna Miller. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, take it away.
It looks like. I just want to say thank you to the Women's March. Thank you to the Women's March. Thanks for zooming us to the polls. It's exciting to be here. I'm Cook County Commissioner Donna Miller of the 6th District, and I represent 36 different municipalities throughout Cook County. And I've been at the Women's March ever since it started. The first time I came, I brought my 2 boys. I am the mother of 2 African-American boys, and they need to understand what legacy means. They need to understand what democracy means. And they need to understand that I'm their mother, but everybody doesn't know that they're 2 smart boys, that they have great futures ahead of them. My 16-year-old son is 6'2" right now. And he doesn't look like a little boy. He has a little baby face, but he doesn't look like a little boy. And I keep telling him every day when he's out in those streets, they don't know you know Mandarin. They don't know you are a 4.0 student. They don't know that. And this is why we vote. This is why our democracy matters. My family has lived in Cook County for over 100 years and participated in politics and been a victim of every form of systemic racism that's out there for 100 years. So we know this is not a new conversation. We're just talking about it more now. All of us have experienced this in our family. It's not new from my great-grandmother's house at 4934 South Vincennes Avenue in Chicago to my grandparents' house at 1110 North Lakeshore Drive, where they lived for 50 years in a condo where they were the only Black people in their entire building the entire time they lived here. This is why I vote. So when people say our ancestors laid a foundation for us, I'm proud to say I spoke to my ancestors, and they keep talking to me every single day. And I'm talking to the next generation to make sure that they know that this is why we vote. My team has been actively working in the communities out in the South suburbs and beyond in Cook County to educate people on the disproportionate effect of COVID that it's had on Black and Brown communities since the beginning of this pandemic. I was hosting town hall meetings so that we could just get people educated to know the pandemic affects everybody. It's not just in Chicago. It's not just in the South suburbs. It's not just for people who had one condition or another. It is affecting everyone. We had to get that word out. We've also been focused on helping small businesses but get the funds they need, not only from Cook County, which has done a fantastic job providing funding to underrepresented businesses, but from the federal government during this pandemic. We've seen the terrible effects of job loss and the loss of income that are resulting in the worst loss of ability for people to provide food on their tables on a daily basis. And we have been coordinating food drives throughout the South suburbs with some of the best volunteers I have ever seen. People who love their community, people who care about other people just because they care. They're not getting paid. They don't get anything out of this except for the love of helping others. This is why I vote. And today is my homecoming from Howard University in Washington, D.C., where it is also, I get to share the love and pride of Howard University with our vice presidential nominee, Senator Kamala Harris, who was there when I was there. So we love Howard University. We also love Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And we are about to make history as she becomes the first vice president who is African American and Asian American. And I can tell you, if we were at Howard University today, the yard would be on fire. And everybody knows what that means. This is why I vote. I'm just so happy that Marilyn Katz was on here earlier and she shouted out women to win. We've been raising money since the day after the announcement of Kamala Harris. So check us out, the voting, check us out for what we've been doing so that you can join us. Every day matters. It's not over. Every day counts. So early voting starts Monday in the South suburbs. If you want to come join me at my district office on Monday morning at 8 a.m., we'll be out there in person if you feel comfortable with that. Social distancing will be practiced. Masks will be worn. We will be standing 6 feet apart, but we will also be there to vote. So you can vote with us there. You can vote by mail and ask everyone you know to vote. So let's do this because this is what democracy looks like. Let's do it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And your energy is gonna take us through the rest of this event. So thank you so very much for that. Next up, Janet and Jennifer Martin from Beauty and Brains. You guys there?
Hi, everybody. Hi. So happy to be here. I just want to thank you guys and just say, echo the words of Tanya earlier that women are taking over and women are coming into power and we need to step into this power. And so I feel that's why we vote. And as an organization, Beauty and Brains, I'm the co-founder along with my sister Janet, and she'll speak a little bit. And I'm a junior at Cornell University right now. As an organization, Beauty and Brain stands to empower Black women in all aspects of their life to basically reach their fullest potential. We do this by offering educational resources, mentorship, scholarships, things like that. And so within that, educational resources on voting and its importance and the ways that we can make our voices known as young Black women, as people constantly, place restrictions on us, tell us what is and isn't allowed and make decisions for us. We need to know that we can use our voice and we can make a stand and we can make a change and we can be involved. And that's why this past summer, we started up our umbrella group, Beyond the Border Chicago, where we held a series of summer protests in predominantly white or racist areas around the Chicagoland area. So we probably hit about 7 neighborhoods this summer. Like Donna said, this is what democracy looks like. We took the streets screaming these chants, making change in the name of Black women. And I'll let Janet speak a little bit as well.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Like my sister said, I'm Janet Martin. I'm also the co-founder of the Beauty and Brains organization. And I'm also a first-year medical student at SIU School of Medicine. And so like my sister talked about, we started the Beyond the Border Chicago movement this summer. And so we were out there hitting the streets, fighting for Black lives, but it's one thing to go out and protest, but it's another thing to make actual change. And so that's the transition we've been trying to make lately. Like, where do we go from marching on the streets to actually making change in society? And how do we actually affect that change and make our voices heard in a meaningful way? And so what we did this past week was we hosted our very first policy workshop with She Votes Illinois, where they taught our members, young Black women, about how the Illinois General Assembly works and how legislation can motivate and impact all of our lives. And they just gave a phenomenal presentation with a bunch of different panelists and everything. And we also post on our social platforms about all the different positions in politics so that our members know not only to get out there and vote, but also what they're voting for and what are the duties of these people they're voting for and who are they putting in positions of power. And so as young Black women, we just want to make sure that our voices are heard. And so through our platform, we want to encourage and educate all young Black women about politics and about why we should get out there and vote and just make the world ours. Like everybody else has said, women are taking over and it's our time to shine. And especially as young Black women who have been constantly neglected and looked past, our organization stands for allowing Black women to encompass everything that we are, not diminish ourselves in any way. And so that's why we vote. And we hope that through our platform, we can inspire others to go vote. And me and my sister will be out there voting and marching until change is really made. So thank you guys so much for having us. We're so excited, and everybody, please go vote and take everybody with you.
Ladies, if this was a hat, I would tip it to you all. You are our future, and I am so impressed and proud of you. Although we have never met, know that I love you and I am proud of you guys. Continue to do the good work that you are doing because you are our next generation, and we absolutely need you. As we keep moving, I believe we have Senator Matty Hunter somewhere in the room. Senator Matty, are you ready?
Hi, here I am. Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me. I'm State Senator Matty Hunter from the 3rd Legislative District. And you know what? As we approach Election Day on November 3rd, there are so many issues that affect our community. We're dealing with health disparities, poor outcome, OB-GYN issues, prenatal care, child care issues. On the south and west sides of Chicago, we got safety net hospitals that are underfunded. We have hospital closures, and I can just go on and on and on about the issues of our community. But you know what, women? We are the pillars of our community. We are the pillars and we are the leaders of the city, county, state, and nobody can run. No organization, no government can run without women. We are true natural born leaders. Out of the 40-something years that I've been voting, you all, this is the most important election that I have ever encountered in my life. If you want change, if you're tired of complaining about all kinds of issues in our community, this is your time to speak. You have a voice in this election. Everyone is talking about the long lines that are out there for folks to vote. But that's because people are so excited about voting, and we want more people to become excited about voting. We want you to become excited about voting. So before you vote, I want you to get on the phone and call your family, you call your friends and your neighbors, and all of you all make a party out of it. Grab your lawn chairs. Eat before you get there. Use the washroom before you get there. Okay, make sure you take your medicine and stand in line or sit in line and just wait your turn, because everything is depending upon this. Everything is depending on this. We got the fair tax that's on the ballot. We need you to vote yes on the fair tax and spread the word that we need for the fair tax voted. We got a list of good judges on the ballot. We got the ballot led by Joe Biden and my sorority sister, Kamala Harris. That's the right choice, y'all. That's what's really going on out here. So this is why we vote, y'all. We had the census that everyone participated in earlier this summer and this fall, and it's about bringing resources back to our community. But we need you to help us bring resources back to the community by you all voting. Okay, this is all about voting. Stop complaining. Get up off your rump and go to the polls and vote, y'all. Vote, 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 especially for Kim Foxx. Don't forget Kim Foxx in our congressional districts. We got so many women now in the General Assembly down in Springfield. You heard Representative Kelly speak about the House. We got the same situation going on in the Senate, y'all. I've never seen so many women, in the Senate. And we're changing things. We're making things right. We're writing from the past, y'all. So come on and get out there and vote. Thank you so very much. God bless you and see you on election day. Vote and vote early.
Thank you so much for your time and your inspiration to hear from women who have trailblazed and are sitting in these seats. Are we actually basking in this and taking this in? So we are seeing representation that this is possible. So guys, get to the polls. Let's do this. Up next, Ira.
Hey, how are you guys? And I hear you, Commissioner Miller. This is what democracy looks like. My name is Ada Corral Sepulveda. I am hometown proud, a woman that leads in Hanover Park as village clerk. I am orgullosa, proud to be here and telling you that I vote because mi familia vota. And when I vote, my family votes as a proud US American family. We are immigrants. We have our roots in Chihuahua and Durango, Mexico. We embody that échale gana spirit that pushes our country to be innovative and work hard to build success. I am voting because I'm on the ballot, and I am voting because I believe in science to fight against climate change and to protect our water. I am voting to honor my past, the suffragettes, as we celebrate 100 years of the women's vote, woo-woo! But also for the women that bled, cried, and died after the 19th Amendment passed to ensure that our right as women of color was also being enforced. Women like Ida B. Wells, whose shirt I'm wearing today, and women like Dolores Huerta, who chanted, "Si se puede," yes, we can. I am for the future of my children, my son, who I am raising as a feminist, my daughter, whom I held really close as a newborn baby on election night of 2016. Even closer when I put her around my chest in my rebozo, my baby wrap, to walk petitions with my name and other women of color on them for my third term as in the 2007 municipal election. I am voting because we need women that lead in local races to make decisions in all places and spaces. This election, vote by mail, vote early, election day, friend, and vote for her.
I appreciate you and I thank you again. More energy that needs to be felt, as well as that representation for women of color. Congratulations on your race. I'll just congratulate you ahead of time and thank you again for your time. Up next, we have CEO and President of Women Employed, Sharita Ellens. Sharita, are you here?
I am here. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you for all the dynamic speakers so far this afternoon. This is the best virtual rally I have ever attended. And a special thank you to my sorors, Senator Hunter and Commissioner Miller, for bringing the heat and everything that you do to amplify our voices. And to Janet and Jennifer, you two are my daughter's age, and you are, and your generation gives me so much hope. So thank you for your presence here today. There is no question that voting is an exercise of power. Everything that matters to the advancement of women and people of color in our families, in our communities, is touched by an election in some capacity. There is so much at stake, and many of the speakers have already talked about it. So think of this as a summation, right? Number one at stake is the economic recovery. There are over 30 million Americans unemployed as a result of this pandemic and lack of leadership. Many of these folks are Black and brown, and they are predominantly women. The second thing are the courts. In the last 3 years, there has been 2 justices appointed to the Supreme Court, and most likely one more on the way, and more than 300 judges at the federal, district, and circuit court levels. These judges are not likely to vote in our favor on issues such as voting rights, reproductive justice, fair housing, environmental protection, pay equity, and economic justice. In fact, they can probably set us back decades. And if that isn't enough, to convince you to get yourself and everybody you know to the polls. We have to end systemic racism. We have to secure equal pay for equal work and value the work of women and raise wages for essential workers. We have to expand healthcare to everyone and make it less expensive. Give everyone access to paid sick days and paid family and medical leave. Raise the federal minimum wage. Protect our right to choose what we do with our own bodies. Protect the right to marry who we love. Provide free pre-K to every child in the U.S. Fully fund public education and create a path to a college degree for anyone who wants one. Reduce or eliminate student loan debt. Make our neighborhoods safer and enact gun control legislation. And make it easier, not harder, for immigrants to come into the U.S. We have to get our kids and families out of the cages at the borders. In the 2016 presidential election, women outnumber men at the ballot box by 10 million. And now this upcoming election, we can have the most historic yet for women. Both parties have broken records, and there are 287 women who have secured their primaries for the U.S. House. If all 287 women won their seats, women would be the majority in the House for the first time in history. So let's do this. March to the polls. If you are like me and a member of the Divine Nine, stroll to the polls. We know what is at stake. No regrets on November 4th. Go vote and vote yes for the fair tax. Thank you.
Everything that Sharita said, and then some. You nailed it. Thank you. Thank you and thank you. So of course we're coming up on time. So let's keep this ball rolling. Next, Tracy, are you here?
I am here. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's on you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. You know, the first March on Washington I did was 33 years ago this month for LGBTQ rights. That March on Washington really fed the souls of the people who went there, even though it was ignored mostly by Ronald Reagan and the media. We have to work together across communities, and the LGBTQ community has not often been a good ally to other movements, but I think in more recent years, it has been. I'm here asking LGBTQ people to vote for our lives and for our allies to also vote for our lives. This will be my manyth election since the first one I voted for Jesse Jackson in 1984. And I'm really excited that the Women's March Chicago is so full of allies to the LGBTQ people. Please vote, stand up. It's for us. And let's zoom to the polls. Thanks very much for having me today.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much. Now let's hear from Anna Valencia. Or if we don't have that just yet.
Hello, Women's March Chicago. I'm City Clerk Anna Valencia, and this is our newest member, Rihanna Cosme, and we're fired up and ready to go. It's time to march to the polls and vote. Thank you, Women's March Chicago, for leading the way, galvanizing all of these women from day one to fight for our rights. Thank you for standing up for our rights, and we are ready to march to the polls to defeat Donald Trump. Let's go, women! Women power! Right, Rihanna? Right? Let's go, women! Yay!
That was so cute. So cute. Now we're going to see a video from Melissa Conyers Irving too.
Conyers Irving, City Treasurer of Chicago. We as women are the majority voters, and we need to let everyone know that we are a force to be reckoned with. We choose who our leaders will be. And for now, until November 3rd, we will do just that. We will show the world that once again, we as women know how to get the job done. We will do what we do best, save our families and save our communities. The fact of the matter is, this current administration is an attack on women and our rights. So our backs are against the wall. We must fight back. How do we do that? By voting. And not just voting, but sending the message that women are the majority and we would choose who our leadership would be. So I want to leave you with the challenge. Call your family, friends, and neighbors and tell them that the time is now. A big thank you to all of the organizers of the Women's March. Thank you for pivoting to a virtual environment because this election is too important and we must act now.
The inspiration keeps rolling. We are hearing it from live and in living color to pre-recorded videos. It's all still the same. The message has been consistent. Do you hear us? Make sure you vote. Women, we got this under control. Up next, Heather McKeegan. Heather, are you here? Okay. So we'll catch up with Heather because there may be some technical difficulties, but now we will go on to Dahlia. Dahlia.
Hi, everyone. Delilah Torres with the Latino Leadership Council and Women's Leadership Committee. I would love to thank the Women's March Chicago for the amazing opportunity to speak. I did take some notes. So again, thank you. So I wanted to share some information about the Latino Leadership Council and the LLC Women's Leadership Committee. Our organization is a Latino diverse group encompassing many ethnic identities and cultural traditions. And our mission is to increase the Latino and Latinx participation and influence in America and the public and private sectors. And the best way for us to do that is by voting, right? So overall, statistically, showing a record of 32 million Latinos are projected to be eligible to vote. The Latino vote really does matter, and we need to vote for representation that matters to us. Our vote is our voice, our vote is our power. So make a plan to vote. Vote by mail, vote early, vote in person, and always vote safe. You can actually still register to vote. Tomorrow's the last day to register online. And as mentioned before, you can always register in person at the polls. So our organization actually has a few GOTV campaigns going on. Our Women's Leadership Committee is advocating strongly in getting out the vote. We have a town hall that's actually women-led. Several women elected officials and women-led organizations will be panel speakers, and that will be October 22nd at 5 p.m. So if you have any questions on the event, please email us at power@thelatinoleadershipcouncil.com or Delilah at delilah.communityaffairs@gmail.com. Again, I chair the Women's Leadership Committee, and we strongly encourage women to continue to get out and to vote. We want to continue the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and continue to fight for the right for our voices to be heard. We should continue to fight to be the decision makers for our health and our reproductive rights. So women really need to get to the polls. If you have any questions, our committee would love the opportunity to assist you and guide you on information and where to register, where your polling places are, and any other questions you may have. So right now, and even after this election, what I want to see for us is to be a unified country. For too many years, women and people of color have been underrepresented, and we must stand together for a stronger voting power. We need to continue to do our part. I've registered to be an election judge on election day. So I think it's definitely our civic duty, and being the chair of the Women's Leadership Committee and member of the Latino Leadership Council Political Action Committee, we strongly encourage voters to really get out there and learn who the candidates are on the ballot. We, as an organization, have endorsed several great sub-circuit court judge candidates. We, as a PAC, have endorsed Joe Biden for president, and several great state officials that are on the ballot. So please educate yourself and make sure that your voice is continue to be heard. And the only way to do that is to vote. So if you have any more questions, please visit us at power@thelatinoleadership.com. You can send us an email, or our Facebook page, Latino Leadership Council Public Affairs Committee, and our Women's Leadership Committee, Latino Leadership Council Women's Leadership Committee on our Facebook page. And vota ya.
Thank you so much. And I want to give you a virtual hug because I messed up your name and I read it wrong. So I'm very sorry about that.
No, not a problem at all. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is amazing. It's definitely an honor to be here with you ladies.
So thank you. Hang out with us. We're getting ready to wrap up. If I'm not mistaken, we're rolling into our last person, and that would be Heather. We found her. Heather, are you here?
Hey everybody, Heather McMeekin here, down in McDonough County, which is a very red county. And I'm coming to you from our Democratic Party headquarters. We're doing safe distancing, so we only have one other person here and they're way in the other room. But let me talk a little bit about what it's like being a Democratic woman down in a red county. Last weekend, when I was out on my rounds as a precinct committee person, one of our people let us know that they saw some of our Democratic signs in someone's garbage. I went by there, and sure enough, you could see them right there plainly from the street. I contacted a precinct committee person. We decided to call the police. The police came, they spoke with the person, and what I found out, I'm going to give a content warning here for racial trauma, is that the Republicans the night before living there had a birthday party, and one of their guests apparently thought it would be funny to take some of our candidate signs and hang them from the tree. And they all thought that was in good fun. And so the police went and got the signs, but since they claimed they didn't know where they were from or who did it, then there was no further investigation or follow-up. And this is why we have a lot of empty campaigns where there's no Democrats willing to run because of the fear. And we've been doing Black Lives Matter protest every week for months. And we get so much harassment, people yelling white power, being threatening. We've had to have in 1 week, we had the FBI, ISP, Illinois State Police, the State Terrorism Task Force, and our local police investigating different threats against us Dem women, both online and in person. This is what it means to be a Democrat around here. This morning when I opened up our office, one of our gay couples came in. They were our first couple who were ever married here. What they went through when they were trying to get married here, even though it was legal, is disgraceful. We're here for them. We're getting out to vote for them. Why? They've lived here for years and still believe that, and actually are not safe holding their hands in public, and their husband. This is what we're dealing with here. We're getting out to vote for all of our Black people in our community who have relayed that they face broad spread structural injustice and actual accounts of bigotry and hatred for which they don't have any support in our community leadership. Why? We are a red county. Now, I just want to make a plug that after this election, let us never go back in red counties, ladies, to listening to people telling us the right way to be a Democrat is to be a silent Democrat because it offends people to talk about these issues. We must be the group that talks about these issues between elections. Down here, a lot of our Democrats do have to rely on moderate votes, and they can't win without Republican votes as well. And we understand that, but as a party, we should never be silent in the face of wrongdoing here. We should not let people openly violate human, civil, and constitutional rights without strong verbal pushback. And around here, that means women like me, white Democratic women, have to be the ones speaking up. Why? We have more privilege and protection. So thank you all. You are so inspiring. Watching you all around the state doing this work inspires us. Why? We're the first group that has decided to be vocal, verbal, anti-racist all the way through this election and keep bringing it home. We're getting out the vote for everybody living in fear here, who can't even go to the park with their children without being called horrible racist names. And so we're going to get out the vote for our people now. We're going to keep getting out the vote. We're going to keep talking these issues. There are going to be no more safe spaces in McDonough County within our control for racist, sexist, or homophobic discourse to be allowable and tolerated, right, without pushback. So let's do it. Let's get out the vote. Let's go out there together. Let's stand up for our people. We have wonderful leaders. Bless you all, Democrats. Bless all of our Democratic women, all of you working so hard in your districts. You are amazingly inspiring. You keep us going, and I'm so proud to have been a part of this. Thank you so much for all you do. You're doing a great job.
Heather, thank you for that message. Thank you for the message of inclusivity, for the message of tolerance, and for doing the very, 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 we know, dangerous work that you are doing in a predominantly red county. So thank you so very much for that. Before I tell you guys that you need to go to illinoisvoterguide.org for anything and everything that you need to know about voting, let's hear from Reverend Heather Wills. We're going to go to a video.
My name is Reverend Heather Wills, and I am a community organizer here in Chicago, Illinois. Throughout my years of living in Chicago, I have seen great racial and economic injustice. You can see the injustice just by riding through Chicago's segregated communities. Black and brown communities have always seemed in grave disrepair, with little attention given to streets and sanitation, poor infrastructure, and the obvious housing inequities. Looking deeper, you can see the lack of educational opportunities outside of traditional schooling, poorly funded and supported community businesses, and public health disparities. Regretfully, all of our politicians are not sincerely invested in liberating Black and brown communities in Chicago. It is apparent when you compare Inglewood to Edgewater, Back of the Yards to Beverly, and Grand Crossing to the Gold Coast. It is no secret that racism and capitalism exist here in Chicago. The impacts of racial and economic injustice touch us every day. Racial injustice happens when Black people have to repetitively lobby City Council for official recognition of the Black Haitian man, Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable, who founded this city. Yet the same politicians stood back and stood by when it was time to remove the Christopher Columbus statue. Economic injustice happens when we keep finding money through every grant project for every new committee being formed at City Hall, yet politicians choose to use the ballot to ask residents if CPS and school-aged children should have free access to internet, as if we are not still living in a pandemic, as if we are not currently teaching our children remotely. Their internet connection can literally be the deciding factor of their success. Racial and economic injustice happen when Black and progressive city politicians allow a pollutant, out-of-compliance company like General Iron to relocate their operations to an area that we all know has already suffered so much environmental injustice. Racial injustice happens when business owners and administrators have the audacity to close Mercy and Providence Hospital and other health centers during a pandemic because the facilities are not making profits instead of prioritizing public care. Racial and economic injustice cannot be avoided, and certainly it cannot be ignored. That is why I digitally walk with the Women's March Chicago today, because in this tumultuous election season, we must make sure that we complete our census by the extended day of October 31st, that we vote early if we can, and that we vote yes for fair tax. We must make sure our voices are heard, because today and always, women will lead the way. And every day we will continue to fight. And every day we will continue to work until all people are free in our country and our world. We will continue to stand up against racial and economic injustice.
Oh, I see you. Oh, it's only your head.
All right, all right, all right. We are at the end. We have been out here live and in color, empowering, listening to, encouraging. I feel the love through the airways since 12 o'clock. It has been a very, very good day. It's been a good day. And I thank you all for tuning in and joining the Women's March of Chicago. I thank you guys, all of our speakers. Thank you to the from the young to the seasoned who are paving the way, who have gone before us. Thank you so very much for everything that you are doing. And that's it, everybody. So to all my ladies,
You say mirror my video.
you guys want to unmute?
There we go.
Woohoo! Voting is our power. Voting values, ladies.
Is our
Voting is our superpower.
Zoom to the polls. All Team Women's Leadership Committee.
Go vote.